MALCONTENTMENT TANGO is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with three key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live as they happen. To defend the First Amendment, using our rights of a free press and to petition the government for redress of grievances, and to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals, including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support us is to like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and Instagram. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent. Good evening, malcontents, and welcome to a special pre-Thanksgiving edition of Malcontentment Happy Hour. I am the malcontent, and I hope everybody is doing well on this Wednesday evening. Excuse me. We have been engaged in a 3-month investigation into events that happened at the Seattle Police Officers Guild March on September 7th of 2020. There were things that happened and we observed live and on the grounds that instantly didn't add up and didn't make sense. I actually had reached out to a couple of people that I felt were connected and trusted and said, hey, got some questions and concerns. And candidly, I was told, let it go. And we kind of let it go. But it was always like in the back of our heads, like something's not adding up. Over the period of the last 2 months, the Seattle Police Officers Guild made a propaganda video. And in making that propaganda video, they released content that came out from their security cameras, as well as some body cam video. They also used some streamer video. They didn't use our streamer video, but they used some streamer video and some MSM video. The Seattle Police Department last Wednesday released over almost 4 hours of video. And among that 4 hours of video that they released was 1 hour and 11 minutes of video of events that happened on September 7th. Now, the 1 hour and 11 minutes of video is a bit of a misnomer because really, I think when you break it down, there's actually probably 15 or 20 minutes of video. What you actually have is, here's this incident from this angle, here's this incident from this angle, here's this incident from this police body cam, here's this incident from this police body cam. And obstinately, they released these videos to show how violent protesters have been against the Seattle Police Department. Como ran a story on this last week, which is where this caught my attention. And in the Como story, they even said that when they looked at the content, really what they feel it kind of shows is that the Seattle Police Department was not very fair and equitable in treating protesters. And that actually moves into our lead story for the night, because we are going to get to what happened on SPOG on September 7th in a minute. But we have some breaking news out of Kennewick, Washington. In Kennewick, Washington, there's a bar. It's called Coco's. And at the bar of Coco's, apparently, they are COVIDiots. They do not believe in COVID and the shutdowns, and they've been having a protest there, and the bars remain open, and people are drinking and eating. And if you remember, Kennewick is in part of this, the Tri-Cities area that in the early summer was a hotbed of infections and actually was a big part of what tipped over our state into the summer months of moving into kind of this second surge that could have been totally avoided. It was all central Washington to the point they were flying and their patients to the Seattle area. Well, we haven't learned anything from this part of the state, which I guess at this point isn't a really big surprise. So what happened today in Kennewick at Coco's? Well, I'll let the owner of Coco's tell you himself.
About 3:30, I got the phone call from my server saying that the liquor board was showed up. So I said, I'm on my way. I said, keep them there. Soon after that, Jesse Mill from the liquor board called me, told me that we're going to move to stage 2. I said, I'm on my way. Yeah, you need to get a warrant. So I am on my way here. I show up, and he's already gone. Apparently, a couple of the groups here got hold of it. I don't know how they did, but they showed up pretty quick. Chased him out of here, and then followed them a little bit. Apparently, some questions asked between them. This was what I was told. After that, Jesse tried to call me again, and I didn't answer the phone. So we have a bunch of freedom fighters out here supporting me at the Coco's Partini tonight, and we're having a great time. So that's about the rundown right now. So I'll keep you guys posted on what's going on, and we appreciate the support over at the peaceful protest.
Yeah, peaceful protest. We're going to talk about peaceful protest. You know what their idea of peaceful protest includes? Their idea of peaceful protest includes a group of protesters going to one of the Liquor Control Board officers on Sunday, led by right-wing domestic terrorist Joey Gibson, armed and with bullhorns, armed, mind you, and shout and yell at them for them to come out to the house, threaten him, and tell him that he needs to stand down from his job. That was part of the peaceful protest of the clientele at Coco's, backed again by right-wing domestic terrorist, as according to the Southern Poverty SPL, Joey Gibson of Patriot Prayer. And so what happened today, which isn't quite covered in that video, is 8 armed Liquor Control Board officers showed up at Coco's to shut the bar down, and they were chased out by the customers. You heard the rest by the owner, which left kind of all these details out. And not only were they chased out by the customers, but then, as you heard the owner say, were followed by them. Now Black Lives Matters protesters had done that, there would have been bullets flying and tear gas and skulls broken, and there would have been videos like we're going to show you in a few minutes. But apparently, some of those who work forces, as I'm fond of saying, and I think this is the situation we have in Kennewick. The other thing is that some of the patrons of Coco's are making statements of like, basically, my body, my choice. If you don't like it, stay home. But you see, there's a key difference here. First of all, you say my body, my choice, ironically, because certainly you do not support you are not pro-choice and do not support a woman's right to choose, where the foundation of that argument is my body, my choice. But you see, the thing is, if a woman goes in for reproductive health, or if a woman goes in to get an abortion because they have an unwanted pregnancy, or they have a pregnancy that is going to end in severe complications, that is going to have a baby that is either non-viable or potentially kill the mother, the medical professionals involved in that procedure have no risk of dying. But if your happy ass gets COVID and you end up going to a hospital, well, the medical professionals around you, yeah, they have a risk of dying. And guess who pays for that bill if your happy ass ends up at the hospital does? We, the people, the taxpayers of the United States of America. We're the ones who pay it, at least until December 26th, when the CARES Act money all ends, and then people will start getting the bills, just as we're starting to move into one of the worst peaks that we are going to see both in Washington State and in the United States. Washington State health officials today said, forget about the hospitals getting overrun. That's not an if, that's a when. Right now, the state that we're in the state of Washington is, will we have to ration care as we start to get to the end of December? What does ration care means? That means that people are making decisions on literally who lives and dies on the available resources and things like age, comorbidity, value to the community. Are they married or not? Do they have kids or not? What's the impact? And those are the decisions. And those decisions won't just apply to COVID patients. You may come in from a car accident, but because all the beds are filled up and the ICU beds are filled up, maybe you're too critically injured. Maybe you're 65 years old and you're going to get a morphine drip, because that's what comfort care is called about. So it's not my body, my choice. And to the Liquor Control Board, who was chased out 8 armed officers, the hypocrisy is horrific based on the 6 months of what I have seen and what peaceful protesters are treated by. And I don't understand where the outrage is missing from the political right on how dare they go to a liquor control board officer's house. And let's not forget, they didn't go there just to shout. They went there armed with guns. Where's the outrage? Because I'm outraged. But now that we've kind of covered inequity in the police departments, let's cover inequity in the police department. Yeah, and let's go back to September 7th. What I've got is I got a video, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll that video. It's approximately 6 minutes long. I'm not doing any narration. It's got text. We've set it up so that we can post the video by itself. But for those of you who are tuning into Happy Hour, you get to see it first. And then we're going to have a lot to unpack because this raises a lot of questions. And what this is a compilation of video that the Seattle Police Department has released, the Seattle Police Officers Guild has released, and our own video that we captured on September 7th using 3 different cameras. The other thing is this includes statements from the Seattle Police Officers Guild and statements from the Seattle Police Department. And frankly, those statements and the actions and what happened don't add up at all. And when Seattle Police Department released this last batch of videos in November, this 1 hour, 11-minute group of videos that I had talked about earlier, that was like the missing piece of the puzzle. And with that, I now feel a lot more confident to stand up in front of the camera and go, something is not right. And, you know, somebody told me when I asked about Corona Beer Dude, this is what I was told. There's no bad protesters in a revolution, but there are some really stupid ones. And this is when I was like, okay, I'm going to let it go. I can't let this go because it doesn't add up. And with that, I'm going to roll the video and you can decide yourself. We're passing a bikini barista stand. That's what the chatter is. And there's some dude like in a commercial truck up there. And it's bad optics. If I was feeling particularly snarky, I would have turned the camera, but I'm in a good mood today, so. All around you, bro. All around you. Flashbangs are out. Flashbangs are out. Seattle police units are coming from the south. Flashbangs are out. Multiple units are coming up the road from the south.
You're gonna get me before they get you. Come on, let's go. You're gonna get me before they get you. Come on, let's go.
Let me go get my people. Let me go get my people. They're coming. If they're there, they're coming. Let's go. Okay. North.
So there you go. So I think the question becomes, why exactly did they charge? Because the video evidence, particularly the video evidence of the police body cams that were released in November, last week, all of a sudden blow holes in the Seattle Police Officers Guild and the Seattle Police Department story. Remember, their story is that they had intelligence before the march started that there was an individual with Molotov cocktails. The SPOG video, the Seattle Police Officers Guild video, was released at the end of September. The one that shows him circled and going, there's the one with the Molotov cocktails. Now, we could see in that video that the Seattle Police Department releases in November, which is part of the Seattle Police Officers Guild video that is facing in the opposite, the camera is facing in the opposite direction. That one's looking southbound. The video that SPOG uses is the one that is facing northbound. Now, what's interesting is the Seattle Police released that southbound video, not because of Corona Beer Dude, but because of another individual that goes by the name of Chen. And I'm really confused in the videos that they release, this 1 hour and 11 minutes of video, because I would presume that this individual goes by the name of Chen because they put the name Chen, and in the notes they go, there's Chen, there's Chen, there's Chen. I'm going to presume this is somebody who was arrested or somebody that they are looking to arrest. And when that southbound video clip, because we zoomed it in a little bit, is pointing a lot to this individual Chen. And so inadvertently what it shows, because part of their thing is, look, they're piling up items here, debris for the purpose of burning down the SPOG building. And that is happening. You can see that in the SPOG video, and it's happening on the far northern corner of the SPOG fence. Corona Beer Guy trucks right past it. Not only does he truck right past it, if you look at the Seattle Police video, he trucks right past me, because you can see where pole cam is in that video. And I am essentially at that corner where the telephone pole is, at the southern corner along 4th Avenue South. And he trucks right by. So he's not even in a position where he could turn and throw. And so the argument is that, and the other thing that they say is, if you read that statement, they have with the distinct smell of gasoline in the building. Again, I'm right there. Corona beer dude walks right past me. I have taken off my N95 mask for COVID protection, and I'm in the middle of trying to put my respirator on at that moment. I'm utterly unmasked when he walks by me. It's in the video. I didn't smell anything. Believe me, I've been out there enough that if I smelled gasoline, my radar would have gone off. There's like, how would they smell into the building? It doesn't even make sense. But this is their argument. This is why they jumped in and moved in. But then we show in the video, here is Corona Beer Guy, and he is waving at people. And what does he say? They're going to get me before they get you. Keep moving. That's a pretty confident statement for an individual that was allegedly carrying a box of Molotov cocktails, and that the Seattle Police Department and the Seattle Police Officers Guild claims in their statements from September that they knew. Remember, they said they knew. And yet here he is, 6 feet away from a phalanx of Seattle police bike officers, and they take absolutely no action against him. Not only did they take no action against him, if you go and you watch the 1 hour and 11-minute clip of the video, there is literally almost no protesters left. He is literally one of the last people to start moving northbound. It would have been very easy for them to snap him up and arrest him. So if the argument was, well, it wasn't safe to arrest him in that moment, what? He was literally surrounded. There were almost no protesters around, and the protesters who were there had their backs turned. Nobody's going to turn and charge at that point. They had the advantage. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. So I'm not going to come up here and now make spurrilous claims on who I think Corona Beer Dude is. But I will come up here and make the very strong claim that the Seattle Police Officers Guild and the Seattle Police Department aren't telling the whole story. And their story just does not compute. And this is part of the reason why we showed the red shirt. Because in part of our research, there had been arguments from the Chuds.
Chud. It's a cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
These are Chud.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
Chud. Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
The argument that they were making is that it was a different individual. Now, it's already a little cockamamie because how many people are going to be wearing yellow gloves on a near 90-degree day with a blue sweatshirt and black pants and a paper mask? But okay, we'll give it to you. Maybe it was the other guy. And you see, this was one of the missing elements that the Seattle Police Department provided. Because when we reviewed their body cam video, one of the things we noticed was the red shirt. And when we saw the red shirt that was under his outside shirt, my first thought was, wait a minute, maybe the Chuds are right. Maybe this is a different dude. So we went back, and I have to thank our editor who went and found the clip today, because I was like, we got to find this clip. And that was that initial clip where we found, oh, wait a minute, there's a red shirt sticking out too. So now, in order for us to believe that this is a different dude, we have to believe that two different people showed up, both carrying Corona beer boxes, both of them in a blue sweatshirt with yellow leather gloves and a paper mask and the hood pulled up and fair-skinned and dark hair and black pants and a little heavy set with a red shirt under their other shirt. Do you know how,
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Am I saying that Seattle Police Department is being caught lying again? I guess I kind of am. And then here's the other big question, the 800-pound elephant in the room. We have multiple videos showing him holding that box and holding that box in a horizontal position, not in a vertical position. Now, if he's holding that in a horizontal position like this, whether, let's say they're Molotov cocktails, let's give it to him.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
But we're going to say it anyway. If it was gasoline, kerosene, or alcohol, the fluid that's in there is going to be very, very viscous, right? And the other thing, particularly with gasoline and alcohol and kerosene, and remember, what did they say they smelt? Gasoline. We'll get into gasoline here in a minute, because you see there's another hole in their story with the gasoline. Remember, we smelt gasoline. That was in the statement from the Seattle Police Department in the video contents that they released last week. Let's say it was that. If he's holding it like this and the bottles are this way, then anything that's going to wick is going to wick very quickly. It was a hot day. It was a windy day. It was a dry day. We were under a red flag alert that day. That's how brutally dry the humidity was. I think the humidity that day was like 10 or 15%. So whatever wicks, it's going to wick fast, and it's going to evaporate fast, and it's going to soak into the cardboard fast. But here's the other thing. When you look at the pictures, the only bottle that appears to have any fluid in it at all, the fluid is clear. It's the bottle that is on the left. It does appear possibly that there is a line where there's fluid in it. Gasoline's not clear, Seattle Police Department. Gasoline has kind of a little bit of a yellowish tinge to it. It's not clear. You said you smelled gasoline. That's your statement. None of this adds up. And what it really looks like is that Corona beer box dude was either an operative out to make Black Lives Matter look bad, a chud.
Chud. Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers.
Chud. It's a cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
That was working with the Seattle Police Officers Guild or the Seattle Police Department and put multiple lives in danger in doing so. Or it's just there are no bad protests, right? This is the other slim possibility. We'll put it out there. There's no bad protesters, but boy, there's really stupid ones. But if this was the plan and they had hot tip, they had information, then why would the protesters just gone to the police and let them go forward with the plan? Because in our experience in reporting on these events, when there have been possibilities where these things have happened, the protest community has generally taken care of those incidents before they happen. We know that, and these things then don't happen. And then the final thing is, why would he walk if the intent was to throw those if they were Molotov cocktails?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Okay, but even if it was, why would somebody walk essentially up to the Seattle Police Department if the intent was to throw Molotov cocktails? We have caught people on video throwing Molotov cocktails. By the way, I am not pro burning things down. Don't imply any of that in this defense. But we filmed it. And the people that throw the Molotov cocktails, they have always thrown it from behind a crowd of people. And at a distance. Because one, they don't want to get caught in their own Molotov cocktail. That would be just stupid. And two, they want some distance between them and the police. But you can see the video. He walks up to the police with the box. And then the box is conveniently dropped. And then with all of those bicycle cops, all of those shields, all of those umbrellas, with the pepper spray, the blast balls, the umbrellas, the shields, the bicycles ramming into people, amazingly, that box's content never got spilled out because the box apparently got dropped somewhere. And we saw where he was. He was up there at the front line. Is Seattle this stupid? Really, are the citizens of Seattle this blind? When you look at the body of evidence, it doesn't add up. And I would sit here and say, you know, somebody should file somebody with OPA, and somebody should look into this. Because if this was a plan, or if this was something coordinated with a right-wing group, then laws were broken. But you know, and I know, that the city council and the mayor doesn't care. SPOG will bury and protect anything that may have happened if there was something illegal that happened. And OPA won't change a thing. Because the system isn't broken. The system works perfectly. In the sense that the system does not serve the people. The video evidence speaks for itself. Now I'm going to go to your comments and see what you have to say and what you think. Definitely a chud. Lie or chud is my guess. I feel so betrayed. If we can't trust the SPD for their truthful behavior, who can we ever trust? I would say untruthful behavior is probably what they meant to say. Maybe not a protester, but somebody informed on himself to harm the protesters. Now, that's an interesting angle, but then if the police said, if Seattle Police and the Seattle Police Officers Guild both said that they charged at 6:20 p.m. on the order of Lieutenant Brooks to arrest Corona Beer Box guy, the guy with Molotov cocktails, and we saw the Seattle Police Officers Guild video from early September where they go, here's the dude. So they knew who the dude was, right? He's got the box of Molotov cocktails. And now here he is, 6 feet away from the Seattle Police. We know that the police have eyes on him from their own body cam video. They could have almost reached out. They could have reached out and touched him. Put your hands on the screen. I want you all to put your hands on the screen. I want you to feel the power of the truth. I want you to feel the power of the truth coming through. Can somebody out there give me a hubba bubba? A hubba bubba. That's what I need. And if you send me $1,000, I promise you a seat in heaven. I do. And that'll be a first class plane ticket, not coach. First class. There's a story behind that, but I'll save that for later. Michael, that's a really good point. There's like 100 police officers out there. They all have body cam videos. Hey, SPD, where's the video of you finding that box of Corona beer? Renee, are you watching? Renee, that would be a really good Freedom of Information request to file with the Seattle Police Department. We would like to have access to all of the video related to the finding and the examination of the Corona beer box. We would also like information on the crime lab on the analysis of what fluid was in those Corona beer bottles. Renee, I think that might be a good Freedom of Information filing to do. Of course, it will take about 6 months to get the information. Michael, you've brought up a tremendous point. This is why I love my malcontents. You know, there's some of you are saying it's a cop. That, I mean, I don't know. The other thing is, but I say this one cautiously. There are a lot of people that in protests, in filming and documenting and interviewing and in reporting, you go, I recognize this person, I know this person, I recognize that person. And candidly, there's some people that I recognize even when they're in block at this point. I've talked to them enough, or they have some feature in their eyes or in their body structure or type where it's like, oh, I know who that person is. I've never seen that person before. I've never seen them again. Full stop. That doesn't mean at the end of the day, right? Could it be a misguided protester?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Okay. It was. Let's just put it out there. If that was the case, then maybe they've been in block or something and didn't run them. But then why weren't they blocked up for that? Why? The other thing is, again, this is based on reporting on this for 6 months now. People in protest that are planning to do what, John Lewis called it good trouble, so I'm going to call it bad trouble. I'm not, if you're on the far left, you're in the protest community, don't read into that, right? John Lewis, good trouble, bad trouble, that's right. If somebody is like going to really do something, they are generally cognizant of cameras around. They certainly don't turn around and walk backwards counter to the protesters. He looked straight into poll cam. We freeze the frame. They don't do that. For instance, there is the one Molotov cocktail gets thrown, and we know it's not thrown from Yellow Glove Corona beer box dude, because if he had Molotov cocktails, he dropped the box somewhere, allegedly. So we know he didn't throw it. The other reason we know he didn't throw it is that we know that I'm in front of him when the one Molotov cocktail is thrown. And where did the one Molotov cocktail come from? It came from a tightly grouped people. That individual was up against a building, and there was no way to see who that person was. None. Because that bottle landed to my left, and it's slightly in front of me. And the ironic thing is the Seattle Police Department used that in their video, as one of the examples ago. Here it is thrown at police officers. It actually lands almost at the feet of what appears to be this individual, Chen. Chen is actually very distinct in these videos. I don't know what the obsession with Chen was in these videos. And very interesting, there was no bing, 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 bing. This is Chen, this is Chen, this is Chen in the video. The reason that she, and I'm presuming they go by she, and they could be they, them. They're wearing just like shorts and kind of like a very like, a cute top. Don't read into that. Happily married. Very attractive young woman, stands out, has her hair in a pony, and the woman there, same color, same shorts, same everything. You only see him from the back. And that Molotov cocktail literally lands at their feet. That doesn't come even close to SPD officers. What was the intent? Yeah, the intent was probably throw it at them. But again, it's this embellishment, right? And what do they start doing? Well, that's in our video and their video. They just start throwing blast balls into the crowd indiscriminately. And I also know, or learned from the information that was released out of Seattle, the police department, they started firing less lethal rounds into there. Sponge-tip bullets, there's nothing sponge-tipped about them. And I had wondered about that too, because in our video, you actually catch me cursing and swearing and going, man, that really hurt. Because I took one off the hand. And what I initially thought, because a flashbang had gone off almost simultaneously, and I've been hit by pieces of flashbang grenades when they explode. And so my initial thought was I got whacked by a piece of flashbang grenade. But usually when one goes off, and one did go off very close to me, but typically when they go off, and if you get hit by pieces of them that come off, they're very hot. You end up with a burn. And I had no burn. What I ended up with was a bruise. And so I was like, well, that's really weird. And then I learned after the fact that they were firing sponge tip rounds. Now, here's the other thing, SPD, that I find a little interesting. It is very possible it was in joint contact. This hand was hit right here. You know what was right here, malcontents, right above my hand? Yeah, the video screen that I view everything. So is SPD targeting my equipment? I don't know. They don't appear to be honest on this other stuff. Dora, no. So, no, he's in the video. Like, Dora, when we played the clip, right, we said, was he arrested later? That is really far up in the march. That is almost back to where they've pushed and run us almost all the way back at that point. I was actually talking to an individual at that point, and when Corona Beer Dudes, here's the thing, and I talked about this when we did the recap video. Corona Beer Dude set off my radar way before we got to Spock. When he turned around and started walking the other way and he had the box, I almost said something. I almost said, like, that's kind of weird. If my radar is set off by somebody in that environment, because obviously I'm on yellow alert, right? I'm at level 2, level 3, whatever everything you want to use, what you want to use there, right? I am really paying attention 360 degrees around me on what is going on. The mood is relaxed. You can hear people are laughing and there's some talking going on. But even in that relaxed moment, he really caught my attention. And so when we were walking back and I'm talking to someone, I was like, whoa, he's right there. And so what you're seeing in the video where we stop and go, well, maybe he was arrested and we didn't see it on camera. Nope. Right? Meaning, did he get grabbed? That's me when I turn, because that's my camera that's up on my helmet. So that's actually me turning to talk to that individual, and boom, there he is in frame again. He actually appears a couple of more times, but I didn't want to belabor the point. I think we've made the point there. So, well, that's on Twitch. I see, how come there's only 16? We're on 4 channels, right? So we're on Facebook, we're on Periscope, we're on Twitch, and we're on YouTube. So there may only be 16 people that are watching on Twitch. Hey, if you really like the content on Twitch, you can subscribe to us. That would help, or you could do a cheer. That would help too, and it helps spread the word here. So. You were right in front of me when the Molotov cocktail was thrown in the street. I know it also landed on a manhole cover. I remember that distinctly because I remember when it first caught my eye, I was like, wow, that's a little, like, why is the manhole cover on fire? And then I think in my commentary, I think I say something, there's a Molotov cocktail or something's been set on fire. I don't exactly know. Because in that moment, what I could tell is I was actually walking on the sidewalk, and the camera pole cam dips down, it dips back up, and it dips down a second time, it dips back up. So I'm either navigating under some trees or they have supports for the phone poles, and I'm dipping pole cam under and around that. So that means my eyes wouldn't have been in front of that point. My eyes would have been up to make sure that I'm clearing the pole. I think Yoda might actually be outside the studio. 1 second. 1 second. Here, wait a minute. You can watch this. Hey, everybody. It's Yoda the Wonder Pug. Everybody loves Yoda the Wonder Pug. He's 17. Some days he's 17 years old. Well, he's almost 17. He'll be 17 in January. Some days he's, 16 going on 23, it seems. He has some good days and some bad days. And some days he's 16 going on like 10. And today is one of those days when he is 16 going on 10. He's been a nudge today, haven't you? We'll talk about it, sir. The funny thing is I have learned that if I come in and I start holding Yoda the Wonder Pug, the number of viewers start going up. Hello, world. Hello. Seattle police, stop being mean to my man beast. He comes home smelling of spicy things and stress hormones, and I don't like it. Yeah. Anyway, this is Yoda the Wonder Pug. That's enough of Yoda the Wonder Pug. All right, and we're back. Everyone loves Yoda the Wonder Pug. Hey, congratulations, you've received 100 messages today. Oh my goodness, he loves getting his ears scratched. So Yoda the Wonder Pug story, he scared me to death a couple of nights ago. I came downstairs, I couldn't find him. I couldn't find him anywhere in the house. And I went and I looked like in my office. I went upstairs, went down, he couldn't find him anywhere. And then I noticed the front door. That's what I mean by sometimes he's like 16 going on 10. And the front door's open because I could, I'm like, oh no, he got out. He's mostly blind and mostly deaf, and this is like at 10:30 at night. I'm like, how did the door get open? How did he get out? Whatever. So I go grab a flashlight. He's blind. He's deaf. He's arthritic. He couldn't have gotten far. Go look in the front yard. No. Go look in the side. No. Go look in the backyard. No. And I'm like, oh, not good. So I go down. I'm like, we have stairs. So I'm like, he couldn't have gone to the driveway. Go down, look there, and the driveway is not there. And I'm like, don't tell me he went down the street. So I walked down because he's done that a couple of times in the past, but it's been a long time. So I go walk down. No, he's not down there. And I'm like, wow, I'm really going to have to go do a search and rescue mission for Yoda the Wonder Pug. I need to get a code at this point and, go grab my car keys. Maybe I'll go drive real slow and go look for him. And so I come back, go up the stairs, and there he is standing in the house looking at, the open door with this very kind of curious look on his face. And I come up and he's like, what? Where were you? Right? I'm like, that's his look, right? And I'm like, where the hell were you? And then I was like, were you in the house the whole time? No, and I picked him up and his coat was cold and his paws were ice cold. And then I'm like, how did you get past me? So I don't know where the hell he went. I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. We are going to, I know somebody called out that there's a missing space in the video. Here's the interesting thing. We did a re-render. We actually caught that before production, and we did a re-render of the video. And it's the beauty of throwing something up and discovering a mistake 10 minutes before airtime. I don't think it actually made its way up to the server and fully uploaded to the system in the studio from where we do the editing. And so, unfortunately, it's there. So this is what's going to happen. We are going to publish that video standalone. We're going to publish it on Facebook. We're going to break it up probably into 3 chunks so that we can publish it in a thread on Twitter. People need to be asking questions on what happened on the 7th because, again, the Seattle police story, the Seattle Police Officers Guild story, and the video evidence that they presented, I can't stress that enough. It's their video evidence. Does not support their story at all. Because if Corona Beer Box Dude was really the most wanted man in Seattle for his 15 minutes of fame, if they had arrested him, wouldn't we know? Because let's remember, Jake Greenberg, who is accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at the East Precinct on September 1st, and is also accused of striking a Seattle police bicycle officer with an aluminum baseball bat on September 23rd. It might be technically September 24th. They held a press conference for his arrest. Chief Diaz got up and made a 5-minute statement and took 15 minutes of questions. So if they arrested Corona Beer Box Dude, don't you think we would have heard about it? And then if they charged specifically to arrest him, according to the Seattle Police Department, the Seattle Police Officers Guild, why was he not arrested when he was standing mere feet from the police officers? And why was he emboldened enough to say, keep moving, because they'll arrest me before they arrest you? That's a pretty confident statement from an individual that allegedly was carrying a box of Molotov cocktails.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Because, quite frankly, I think that this is the IED story on June 6th all over again. And what I mean by that is the IEDs that the Seattle Police Department claimed were thrown at them turned out to be candles. And how do we know they were candles? Because they still had the labels on them that said candles. And how do we know that they weren't hollowed out or lit in some way to use them? Because the new wicks were still there in their pictures, and their IEDs were just simply a memorial, 2 memorial candles that had been crushed, probably by being stepped on in the melee. And I guess my commitment is, whether Renee does it or we get somebody on the research team to do it, we are going to file a Freedom of Information filing. And we are going to want to see all video that is related to the finding of that box. And we want to know the report from the crime lab on what the disposition was on what's in those bottles. Because I think the people of Seattle, if they actually care about their police department and their actions, deserve to know. And with that, I'm going to bid everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Please, for the love of God, stay the fuck home. Please. The question that we're facing in the state tonight is not if our hospitals will become overrun with sick COVID patients in the next 2 to 3 weeks. The State Department of Health and the medical community is saying that question's already answered. The ship's already sailed. The answer to that is yes. The next gate that we're going to come to is whether we have to ration care or not. Nobody wants to go there. And certainly people like my wife, Dr. Mrs. Malcontent, don't want to be involved in those kinds of decisions in another 3 to 5 weeks, or where somebody was going to be picked to live or die merely upon the available resources that are to them. And the decision of live or die is simply made on, well, you're 65 years old or older, so you're just going to die. Because that's what's going on tonight in Utah, in North Dakota, and parts of Texas. And Idaho officials have said they're 7 to 10 days away from having to make those decisions. And that ties back to our initial story of the people in Kennewick tonight who are whooping it up at Coco's Bar. I'm all for your body, your choice, but I'm only for your body, your choice, that if you get COVID, that you don't step foot in a hospital or a doctor's office, because people like my wife don't get to make a choice. And because she is a professional, she wouldn't make the choice. And that is why people like you absolutely disgust me. And with that, Malcontent out. The Malcontentment Tango is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live as they happen. To defend the First Amendment, using our rights of a free press and to petition the government for redress of grievances, and to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals, including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support us is to like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and Instagram. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.